the time has come for the president of Nigeria to call him to order.
Yes.
Arise TV's Dr. Abati and his colleague Rufai Oseni have slammed the FCT minister over a shocking land-grabbing incident involving a Nigerian soldier. Wike and his entourage were blocked from accessing a plot of land in Gaduwa by soldiers, sparking tension with FCT officials. On air, Dr. Abati and Rufai Oseni didn't hold back. Abati questioned the minister's actions and raising concerns about how such disputes are handled. Watch this video. I will be right back.
Okay, just additional comments on the man I described yesterday as Yomonile of the Federal Capital Territory, who thoroughly embarrassed the president of Nigeria while pretending to be exercising delegated authority. This morning, I've also said he comes across as APC's political bouncer in the People's Democratic Party. Hence, he's trying to impose himself on that party to serve the purpose of a fifth columnist within the People's Democratic Party. So that ties the two subjects together. However, he was on television characteristically yesterday, paid, adverts for himself, in which he was saying that he respects the rule of law. Now, I don't think that is true. If the minister respects the rule of law, he cannot be selective in terms of the rule of law that he respects. When he was governor in Rivers State, did he respect the rule of law? In his attempt to say, as he insisted yesterday, that he wants to preserve the integrity of the Abuja master plan, going to pull down people's buildings, going to attack estates, is that respect for the rule of law for a man that is an officer in the temple of justice as a legal practitioner? Now, this same man says he's respecting the rule of law. Why is it that a person who says he respects the rule of law will be selective in his respect for the rule of law? There are many court judgments regarding to this Abuja master plan. The minister of the Federal Capital Territory chooses the kind of law that he wants to respect, the one that he doesn't want to respect. That in itself is an abominable, unacceptable behavior. That's number one. So he's saying he respects the rule of law. That's a lie. Number two, he said that he has no problem with the military and that he respects the military because he knows what the military is doing, and that if he has any problem with the military, he knows where to go. That he doesn't believe in confrontation. Nyesom Wike saying that he does not believe in confrontation. He even confronts journalists.
Yes.
Not realizing that you don't fight a man or people who have platforms. You will lose in the long run. So disrespecting the media, the military establishment, confronting the military establishment, that's precisely what he did. And by so doing, I insist, I repeat, that he exposed the president, commander-in-chief of the armed forces, to utter embarrassment. And that is something that I think that the president of Nigeria should still address, one way or the other. And it is as follows. He says, okay, he respects the military, he doesn't disrespect any institution. This is after it was reported yesterday on the front page of a Punch newspaper that the generals are fuming. There is no general that is supporting Nyesom Wike. They are all supporting Officer Yerima. They say he's disciplined. They said he was polite. They said he showed professionalism. The CDS is behind him. Minister Matawale has spoken also in his defense and in defense of the military. The Minister of Defense, Minister Badaru, has also spoken in defense of the military. The Inspector General of Police has told his men that, look, nobody should go and use you to put down other person's buildings in Abuja without a court order. In other words, the Inspector General of Police is also saying that what Minister Wike did was unlawful, was a resort to self-help, and law enforcement officers wearing the police uniform should not do that. So Minister Wike says he respects the rule of law. So he's the only one who is redefining, recharacterizing, positioning his conduct. I think that the time has come for the president of Nigeria to call him to order.
Yes.
To say that there is something about decorum in terms of the behavior of public officers. He could have used a court order.
Yes.
If there are court orders, he could have respected those court orders. And whether the land was in the possession of a former chief of air staff or naval staff or whatever, nobody is above the laws of the land. And no minister has the powers to intimidate everybody. He says he doesn't like intimidation, that nobody can intimidate a government. All of us exist under the rule of law. And by conduct, ministers who have been given the opportunity to serve by President Tinubu must also conduct themselves in a decorous manner. No minister has the powers to come and dictate to everybody. You dictate to the media, you dictate to the military.
They will telling you the question to ask
on the basis of what?
Media chats. They will tell you questions to ask.
What have I forgotten? Rufai? Have I forgotten something?
No,
okay, on the 15% ad valorem. Ad valorem means according to value. I see the producer was using the word like 4 or 5 times. It means you pay import tax according to the value of what you have imported. That's the simple meaning. However, when this was introduced, I think on October 21, there was a lot of protest that it will increase the pump price of fuel. Now, I agree with Gillis Harris, that's the president of Petro-Am. He says this shows that the government is responsive. The government has shown sensitivity to the reaction of the people. Now, what the president, through the NMDPRA, has done is to say, okay, we are postponing this to the first quarter of 2026 based on advice. And that advice is very important. It came from Dr. Zach Adidiji, the Director General of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, namely that they have had strategic consultations with people within the market space. And on the basis of this, the FIRS recommended that this should be postponed to ensure that we have the local refining capacity, that the necessary infrastructure is in place, that the framework for competition is in place, that the people of Nigeria will not suffer any hardship. So we have to thank the FIRS and its chairman for doing this, even if after the fact. This is what we say all the time, that look, this review could have been done ahead. And then Adedeji and his FIRS will have advised government. But then some other people will argue that, okay, government announced policy, people reacted, government now says, okay, we have listened. They've taken another look at it, and what we need to do is to do more with local refining capacity in this country, is to do more in terms of ensuring competition. If Dangote Refinery can do it, one individual, government itself can also do it. And I've said on this table before, they should study the models in other places where local refining works. Aramco in Saudi Arabia, Petrobras in Brazil, what is that one in Norway? It's not rocket science. We can strike a nice balance between domestic refining and importation, reducing importation and ensuring all of this for the benefit of the people. If we have the will, if we downplay politics.
Yes.
Okay. In his words that he used to Officer Yerima, you are a fool. Mr. Wike thinks we are fools. Oh, he really thinks we are fools. And it's obvious. He thinks we are fools. And for those that sulk up to him, you can see what you have done. You can see what you've done.
Name some of those.
You've increased his ego. There are plenty.
Give us empirical data.
Empirical facts.
The data boys and cameramen.
There was a cameraman indicated.
Please. So those that suck up to him and feed his ego and go and sit in front of him and be hearing all he's saying, you have caused Nigeria this ruination. The next thing, he starts to change the matter. He starts to talk about law. He says the land is owned by Santos, it's not owned by the naval chief. No, you must really think we are kindergarten and we are foolish people in this country. If the land is not owned by the military officer that bought it from that Santos that they allocated the land to, why are we here? And Matawale said he told you that they will call the military apparatchik. You spoke to the CDS, but that was not enough. You took a convoy there. Dr. Abati, this man even took outriders. I don't know when FCT ministers start to take outriders and big convoy.
And maybe as a former governor.
Took outriders. They marched to the venue. But what did they collect? Water. He collected water because as he went back. Yerima stood his ground. Then he started assaulting Yerima. We forget that was assault. If Yerima takes permission from the Navy, he can actually sue Yeson Wike for assault. Then the next thing, one of his data boys was on air the other day saying, what did he say? He said he was angry. He was angry That's why he was calling him a fool, right? He was angry. He was angry. So they are trying to twist the narrative. What do these people take us for? What do Minister Wike take us for? He thinks we are fools? Right. Minister Wike, the honorable thing to do in things like this, it won't hurt you. Apologize to the people. What I thought your press conference was going to be is apologize to everybody that is, even if you don't want to call Yerima's name, apologize to Yerima.
Right.
Or the institutions that are bound.
Yeah, I think institutions.
That's just it.
Yeah.
All you need now is apology. Just stop digging yourself in. Just apologize. Oh, for all the sin that happened, I apologize for all concerned. And that's just it. Let this matter end here. You call the president, you are digging it, trying to think we are fools to ourselves.
All right. Ellen, I want to quote Minister of State for Defense, who said, anyone who disrespects a soldier indirectly disrespects the commander-in-chief. And this is why there is a call for an apology. This is not the time to show that, oh, I'm right and you're wrong. This is also a time to listen. From General Irabo to General Buratai, to Minister Matawale to Minister Badaru. All of them have spoken with one voice that what he did was out of order and a disrespect to a man in uniform. In fact, General Irabo said that he desecrated the oath, that the uniform has the authority of the state. And so he wasn't just speaking to an officer Yerima, he was speaking to an authority of the state. And so in addition, just because of that, he ought to show some respect and possibly issue a simple apology. Just because this also happened, interestingly, when we are launching the Armed Forces Celebration and Remembrance Day. We are talking about how we want to elevate the uniform, elevate, how we see our military personnel, officers who sometimes pay the ultimate price. And so it doesn't all go well for that. I think in the spirit of humility and the respect of law, Mr. Wike ought to apologize to the military and apologize to the Nigerian people. And very finally on this note, I think it's also important that if you must speak for one, must speak for the others. It was impunity versus impunity on show, because no one is above the rule of law. And therefore, we need to also investigate as well the former Chief of Naval Staff who had military officers to defend his land. Was it a matter of national security? Was it an abuse of the time of our military officers when their time is better, could be better utilized, defending the territories and the borders of Nigeria, fighting against terrorism? So we must also ensure that in trying to correct one wrong, we don't also apply a wrong to correct that. And I believe that represents the position of some lawyers, including Mr. Femi Falana, SAN, who weighed in on this matter. And that was the position I also took, that this show was a show of disgrace, impunity versus impunity. Investigation should be had, and where possible, let's ensure that nobody, not anyone, whether civilian or military, is above the law.
Nigerians are now asking, was this an abuse of power or just a bureaucratic mix-up? Do you think the FCT minister crossed the line, or is this political noise? Minister
of State for Defense, Bello Matawale, has shed more light on the public spat between his cabinet colleague at the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, and a naval officer, Lieutenant Commander A.M. Yerima, saying Wike disregarded the advice of some service chiefs and proceeded to confront the officer at a disputed property site in Abuja. Matawale stated that the naval officer acted strictly in accordance with instructions and displayed discipline and respect throughout the encounter. The Minister of the FCT, Nyesom Wike, on the other hand, has stressed the importance of adhering to due process in resolving disputes over land ownership in Abuja, declaring that he will continue to respect all government institutions, including the military. Wike urged Nigerians to learn to obey the laws, adding that government will not tolerate any attempt to undermine approved land allocations.
By the institutions. And I know what it takes. Even as a governor, nobody no governor will say that they supported the military that more than me. So I know. But how do you see a private individual knowing fully well that you are against the law? It is not military versus government. No. If it was military, I would have written to them that, look, military, why are you doing this? This is a private individual. Land was not allocated to him. Land was allocated to a company called Santos. Listen, in 2007, for parks and recreation. They applied to the former minister for change of use. The minister refused. The man went, started selling land. Maybe the former chief of naval staff fell into their scam, sold. This government property. It's not your property.
Meanwhile, the former Chief of Defense Staff, General Lucky Irabor, has called for more enlightenment on civic education so as to prevent confrontations between the military and civilians. Irabor warns that it is wrong to physically assault an officer in uniform, but rather urge citizens to use the official channel to report errant security personnel so as to prevent breakdown of law and order.
Uniform is not about who is wearing it. The uniform represents the authority of the state. Whether it's a small boy or not, it is the authority of the state. It's even worse when it is a commission officer who has a presidential commission. And so when you make such disparaging comments, you have desecrated the oath. You have desecrated the oath. What you have told the commander-in-chief and the authority that invested that position on him is that they are fools. So it is wrong. And I think that for the media, it is not about, in any case, law has two ends. For those, we also studied law. I'm not learned, but then in military law, we also taught that for you to be able to establish a crime, there are two elements: actus reus and mens rea. Actus reus, meaning that was this thing done? Was there something that was done? And then the mens rea, what is the intention behind it? So when a son says that the minister has authority over land and it's not the duty of a soldier, that is not the issue. Now, if you have any reason to believe that what the young man is doing, there is a channel. That's the rule of law.
Drop your thoughts in the comments and make sure to like and share for the more updates.